And we are still in our coverage for Nile TV here from the COP at the Red Sea Resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. And we have all the pleasure to have with us to comment on the activities of the day and the developments so far. We have with us His Excellency Ambassador Wael Aboul al-Magd, who is the special representative of the COP president. Thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
And we have heard you every day giving us all the developments. And how about the developments of today, particularly after the yesterday, which was very exceptional?
Yes, well, it's been so far, everything's been going according to plan. We adopted the agenda. We had 2 days of very successful presidential events with roundtables that were very productive. And then we moved to the negotiations. The negotiations are making progress, and it's normal to have a midway stop and stock take, and I think doing that right now, I can tell you negotiations are going well. Yesterday, as you mentioned, was a very special day in the sense that the President of the United States, despite having to had missed the 2 days of presidential events due to elections happening in the United States, he made the point, and I think it's a very important political message to the world, of concern, of willingness to continue to support climate action. So the President of the United States came yesterday and developed his speech where he outlined the vision of the United States, the contributions of the United States, the plan internally, domestic policy in the United States after having passed a very important bill that allows significant movement forward on reduction of emissions in the United States, but also includes components regarding financial and other support to the outside world. So it was a very important speech, and we welcome it, and we welcome the presence of President Biden coming to Egypt just to deliver that state speech at Sharm el-Sheikh. But also, following the speech, there were 2 very important events that took place. They were co-hosted, both of them, by COP27 President Minister Sameh Shoukry, along with special presidential envoy John Kerry on behalf of the U.S. government. The first of those 2 events was exclusively about a package of support on adaptation for Africa. Africa needs adaptation. That is the priority of the African continent. We are hosting this COP in Africa, on African soil, and it is our responsibility to some extent to deliver something meaningful. So we've been working with the U.S. administration for the past 7 or 8 months to put together this package, and there was generosity coming from philanthropies and other entities demonstrated last night, and we did have a good package launched for Adaptation Africa from Egypt and the United States working together. Following that, there was another mitigation event, which is the NWAFI program, which the Ministry of International Cooperation, Dr. Rania al-Mashat, had put together. And this was to announce and launch a package of support from developed countries, the United States and Germany, working with the EBRD to ensure that the NWAFI program gets the seed money, gets the money necessary to mobilize more money from development banks and other entities to make sure that NWAFI program, which is a very ambitious program, moves forward and reaches fruition.
Your Excellency, that exactly what the U.S. presidential envoy for the climate change, His Excellency John Kerry, was speaking about just an hour ago. And we have just asked him about the adaptation and the pledges for the adaptation, particularly for Africa, the pledge we have heard from the U.S. president yesterday. And he said, no, it's not enough. But what, or the theme of this summit is delivering for the planet, or for the people, delivering for the planet. And from your point of view, how can we say that this summit is of true success for what, or to fulfill the nation's aspirations, particularly the most vulnerable, which is us in the Middle East and Africa?
Right. Actually, COPs are an annual event that take place, and it would not be realistic to assume that any standalone COP is going to solve the broad array of challenges facing the world with regard to climate change. That's why they are annual events. So every year we have to come together, developed and developing nations, to recommit to more action and more ambition on mitigation, on climate finance, on adaptation, of course, and now with the issue of loss and damage. So across the wide array of items being discussed, you just need to make maximum possible progress. It would, again, be wrong to assume that any COP is going to have the ultimate solution to the issue. As he said, Secretary Kerry rightly said, it's not enough. It will never be enough at this stage. The gaps on mitigation, on adaptation, and on finance are tremendous. So what we're doing is to reduce those gaps, bridge the gaps on mitigation. We need to do more if we are going to maintain the Paris Agreement goal on the temperature goal. We need to do more if we're going to help people, especially in developing countries, adapt to the already locked-in impacts of past emissions. And we have to do much more to provide finance to developing countries. That is the common denominator, the common catalyst. If we're going to do mitigation adaptation, if you don't have the money for it, nothing is going to happen. So you need to start by ensuring that appropriate finance is available to developing countries for them to play their role in this global effort.
In simple words, changing words into and promises into deeds.
Yes, that's been part of the narrative that Egypt is communicating to everyone. We need to move from pledges to action on the ground. That's the essence of implementation.
Indeed, indeed. Your Excellency, Ambassador Wael Aboul, the Special Representative of the COP President, we thank you so much for being with us and for your inputs here.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you
very
so much. And we're still with you and with our coverages minute by minute to this very important summit.